Hey, what's up everybody? Caleb from Means Woodshop here. You guys want another tool review? Let me apologize in advance if you hear some extra noise in the background. I have a very clunky loud ceiling fan going, but I'm not turning it off for the video, you guys. This is Texas, summer in Texas, and it is 98 degrees today, at least according to the thermometer in my car. The loud fan is staying on. The Harbor Freight table saw review video went over pretty well. You guys seem to like it quite a bit, and I got a lot of discussion out of it and feedback. So I said in that video that if it goes good, if it goes well, everybody seems to like it, I'll do some more tool reviews in the future. So here we are. We're going to talk about the Harbor Freight router table. So here's the Harbor Freight router table. It is Chicago Electric. It is the benchtop router table with 1 3/4 horsepower router. This cost me about $100. Pretty good deal, right? For a router table? $100. I think I got it in December. You know, I've slept since December, so I could be wrong, but if I remember, all I had to assemble was these legs, and that is pretty simple and straightforward. All you get with this is, of course, the table, the router, and it comes with a little miter gauge. And I like this better because it doesn't have that T-track like the table saw does. You can just drop it in and go. I don't use this very much. I like this little miter gauge. I actually like it better than the miter gauge that comes with the table saw. For the most part, I freehand most of my stuff, or I use the fence that comes with it and just kind of use my hands and push it along there. But it does come with a miter gauge, which can be useful. With the Harbor Freight table saw, we had a lot of gripes about that, remember? The rip fence, the riving knife, performance, stuff like that we had gripes about. I have a lot less gripes with this, but I'll go ahead and get the gripes out of the way first. My first gripe with this would probably be the fence. It attaches with some little wing nuts. It's adjustable however you need it. I don't have a whole lot of gripes with the fence other than this little adjustable part here, and you could push it from the backside. And that's so you could have a shim. If you don't know, it is possible to joint boards on a router table, and that's what I would use that for. But the problem is, see, what you would do if you're jointing on a router is you would have a shim right here that's up just a tiny bit, and you would run your board through along the bit, and then you would put all your pressure against the shim right along there. The problem with that is that it's not flush with this part. You got about maybe ½ an inch of space right here before it reaches the shim, so you'll be pushing through and it'll kind of hit there first. A little bump in there, and if you're jointing the side of a board, you know a little bump or divot will not do. It has to be perfect. That could be fixed if maybe you get a really thin board and kind of just use your own shim. And another gripe I have is this big opening, and I think that's pretty generic to a lot of router tables. But what happens is you'll push this through, and sometimes that bit will almost want to pull the wood back, and it'll hit in that opening and kind of get stuck, and then you adjust it, and then once again you have a discrepancy in your profile that you're using on there. But one thing you can do to fix that, and I've been too lazy to do it, is you can make a little alternative fence and make almost like a zero clearance. Just make a little gap or hole big enough so that the router bit doesn't hit it, and then you can pass stuff through and you don't have to worry about it getting caught on anything. But that's not a big gripe. Again, easy fixes for those, so for the most part, not any big gripes. My second gripe, I might not really have the right to have this gripe, because you know the old saying, you get what you pay for. The router itself is permanent to the table. You have to use it as just a router table. There's no taking this off and using it as just a handheld router. That's not a big deal, but it is nice to have the option to, because there are things you could do with a router freehand that you just can't do if it's attached to a table, like carving out little divots, or almost like maybe like a bowl. I mean, $100 is a pretty good value for getting the table and a router that comes with it. I know at my local Lowe's, sometimes just the table on its own is like $100 to $160. Plus a really good router, maybe $100 or so. So that's what, up to $260 right there. So that's $160 cheaper. You could get, you know, a table for $100 and a decent router for your basic needs for maybe like 40. So $140. So extra $40 maybe get you the handheld router and a table to attach it to. Like I said, with my table saw, I plan on upgrading that eventually. This, I probably won't upgrade. I might eventually just get a handheld router to do handheld routing stuff. Keep this for my router table needs because it actually performs really well. And this thing is really powerful. Like, check this out. That's a pretty powerful motor, right? Here's another gripe. It comes with these 2 wrenches to be able to change the bit. Take those and throw them away. I used these wrenches that I had in the shop, pretty thick beefy boys, so they work so much better. Another thing it comes with is these little plastic inserts for different bits. I have a chamfer bit in there right now. I seem to have lost almost all my other inserts. This is like the only one I have. It's no fault of the manufacturer. It's my fault for just not keeping track of them. I have no idea where they could be. What would I recommend that you do? Would I recommend that you get this or a better setup? If you have cash on hand already that you could spend the extra money and afford it, I would probably buy a handheld router on its own and then get the table. It's up to you if you want to get both at the same time. You don't see yourself doing a lot of hand routing. This is $100 and it works pretty great in my opinion. I could do all my profiling needs. This isn't a Harbor Freight router bit review though, so those are good. This is like $35, so get that for some bits. Zero gripes. Y'all want to see a demonstration? I got the chamfer bit in there, so I'll give you a demonstration. If you never wear your eye protection with anything that you do in your shop, at least use it when you use this router table because that bit is so aggressive, it spits wood chips everywhere and they will hit you in the face, so wear your dad burn eye protection. Kind of junky drill bit size testing board. It has a very lovely chamfer to it now. This is the fanciest, prettiest drill bit testing board that ever was and ever will be. More worthy of being a permanent addition in a shop than, say, the table saw. But this I probably won't replace, like I said, at most. One of these days when it's a pressing issue, then and I can't hold it inside anymore, then I'll get a handheld router. But for now, just doing edge profiles and basic boy stuff like that, I'll just stick with this. I don't really feel a need to replace it. I think it's a good investment. I would recommend if all you're gonna do is some basic edge profiling stuff or maybe cutting some dados in there with some straight bits. I've done that on this with good results. Well, if you think it's worth buying, go get it. It's only $100, so that's a pretty good value for a router table that has a router with it already. I've given you my opinion. I think it's worth checking out. Like I said, if you just want to do some basic router stuff that would require a table and not really much more than that, I think it's a good value, and I don't think you'll be upset with it like, say, you may with the table saws. I think this one is a little gem from Harbor Freight overall. I gotta apologize too because I probably will not have a project video for you. Me and Jennifer we have our 1-month-old son now, and she's been sick with a bug that was going around here, and so we, dealing with her being sick and trying to take care of a 1-month-old baby. There's a lot on the plate there, so I wasn't really able to get to the shop and make a video for this week. I'd like to apologize for that, but I refuse to let a week go by without giving you guys a video. I hope you liked the video. I hope it was informative to you. I hope you learned some things. Maybe that'll help you with the buying decision. The choice is yours. I'm not your boss. I'm not your dad. So go do what you want. I don't care. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Maybe share it too to some woodworking buds, you know, or people that are getting into woodworking and you want to maybe help them out. Subscribe to my channel too, because I post new woodworking videos every Friday, except for this Friday. Well, this is probably going to be uploaded on Friday, so this is still a weekly video coming out on Friday, just on a project. You can subscribe to, hit the little notification bell, and you'll be updated every time a new video comes out. I'll put in a plug like that at the end of every video, so you could skip that once you get used to it. Thanks a lot for watching. I'll see you next week.